the most disturbing videos on the internet today. Let's dive in.
Ancient alchemy, red mercury, gold, garlic, and a mirror, so let's talk about it. Red mercury and gold isn't the key element behind the ancient technology of these advanced architecture. As we can see here, red mercury is repelled by garlic and attracted by gold magnetically. When a mirror is placed beside it, colorless in the mirror, it has no reflection. It gives off free energy, overheats the metals that it comes in contact with. Many electronic valve devices have RM ampules found in the throat of the ancient Egyptian mummies, so it has healing prosperities, it has health benefits. Is it vampire blood? Well, no, it's red mercury. The whole vampire blood repelled by garlic and them having no reflection makes a little bit more sense now.
Tommy Truthful here from truthmafia.com. So it's pretty amazing that this vampire blood or red mercury is repelled by garlic and attracted to gold and doesn't even show a reflection in the mirror. It kind of really makes sense, like the girl said, where them legends came from. I mean, look at that. That's crazy right there. Now, I believe this red mercury was used in free energy technology. Just think, you're pushing it away with the garlic and attracting with the gold. You could make crafts go. You could run a whole city on free energy with just these elements, the red mercury, the gold, and the garlic. And I believe these major ancient cities were doing this. You know, you go back to Tartaria, the Hyperborean civilization, back to ancient Egypt, the real Egypt, because they give us a lot of propaganda where it is, and it's not even in the right location, but that's not for this show. But they were definitely using this red mercury, and there's evidence of this everywhere. So I believe the Aztecs, the Mayans, they were all using it. They were way further advanced than we are now because they were tapped into the frequencies of nature. They were also using it when they died. There's accounts of emperors with this in their coffin.
Why archaeologists are afraid to open the tomb of China's first emperor. It's been 50 years since villagers digging a well discovered the site. Yet no one has seen inside the tomb since nearly 2,300 years ago, when Emperor Qin's body was sealed within. The emperor certainly had grand ambitions for his tomb, which spans 98 square kilometers and even includes his famous terracotta army consisting of 8,000 soldiers and horses. Just a little further on this pyramid lies the emperor's tomb. According to the historian Sima Qian, the workers who prepared the tomb and attended the burial were walled alive in the mausoleum at the end of the ceremony, so the secrets of its construction would never be revealed. He also states that the tomb is protected by a multitude of traps, notably automatic crossbows, designed to stop anyone who ventures into the corridors. Worse still, he writes that the emperor's bronze sarcophagus is surrounded by a vast river of mercury. We know today that mercury is highly toxic, but the emperor believed it granted immortality. It remains uncertain whether the tomb will ever be opened, but officials prefer to wait for new technological advancements that will allow safe entry into the tomb without any risk of damaging the emperor's mummy or the surrounding treasure. Subscribe for more videos.
So you see, the first emperor was surrounded by mercury. Maybe it's connected to some resurrection technology. And remember, Confucius told us, symbols rule the world, not the laws of man. The elites have a secret language of symbols and numbers. It's called gematria. Comes from Jewish Kabbalah mysticism. Now, who is the god Mercury? Well, it's Hermes. Mercury is the Roman god. Hermes is a Greek counterpart.
They used to find red mercury in mummies' throats? What? And how about that emperor being surrounded in mercury and they can't even get to him yet? Who knows what type of treasures is in there? If you enjoy this type of content, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. because we do this every single day, and I love to see you tomorrow.
What you are about to see is 3 videos of ancient artifact from Egyptian pyramid. Very advanced ancient technology, which is an application of Caesar sound laser. It is electromagnetic, which is not available to the general public. Watch this. And if you really think this is fake or CGI, wait till you see the next clip. I was not lying when I say I have all the evidence to prove it. And that's how pyramids was built, with 2.3 million giant stone blocks, using acoustic levitation. But if you in some way still don't believe me, just wait till you see the next clip. Why do they hide everything, and why are the public not being told? It's because one disclosure leads to another in a chain reaction fashion. Disclosure on moon details or UFOs will lead to the exposure on existence of free energy, which leads to disclosure of the advanced technologies, and med beds leads to free energy UFO crafts instead of cars, which run on gas, so no infrastructures needed like roads and bridges. Free energy leads to no need for petroleum and electricity. Med beds lead to the fall of farmers and ultimately collapse of banking. All leads to spiritual enlightenment, leads to the downfall of all religions. A multi-trillion-dollar industry ultimately leads to them losing control. Like, comment, and share this video with everyone.
What on earth is going on? You couldn't see the reflection and it started to boil the water? I thought only Mercury did that. What was that contraption? That was literally the catalyst to all the ancient technology, mercury. What the Egyptians were using, was it truly a mercury rectifier? Did they have mercury rectifiers in the Egyptian time?
Let's talk about the world fairs. Why were we never taught about them? Why did Lake Chicago look like ancient Greece? Are we really supposed to believe those clearly stone buildings were all made from paper mache and potato bags? These expos were going on worldwide, supposedly creating hundreds of temporary buildings year after year with just horse and buggy. They tell us these enormous structures were built in, give or take, 2 years, only to be ended with barbaric desecration 6 months later. But let's take a closer look. Their narrative is immediately contradicted per usual, as we see multiple buildings from these fairs still remaining today. How would anyone in their right mind believe this is temporary? And then take a look at Buffalo, New York, 1901. Where's the blueprints? Who supplied all the materials? What equipment was used to lift these massive granite statues? How are their entire canals and bridges being held by plaster? Something easily broken down by weight and water. And then we have some expos in the middle of nowhere, like St. Louis. No airports, nothing. Still didn't stop 20 million people from visiting. Are we to think millions traveled the sea on boats? Not to mention the planning, the preparation, materials required to accommodate 20 million in sanitation, plumbing, food, and so on. And then we have the exposition in Paris. Does this look temporary to you? Many of these buildings already indicate signs of aging. You can really see the weathering on it. Does that look 6 months old, let alone a few years? No, these are hundreds. These fairs held multiple segmented areas to showcase fine arts, science, the latest inventions, including human. Let's talk about the world fairs. Why were we never taught about them?
Believe it or not, the World Fair is taking place this year in Tokyo, Japan. I wonder what type of exhibits that they'll showcase.
They are hiding this from you. Did you know that the Great Wall of China is 13,171 miles long? And why has it always been downplayed throughout history? To put that in perspective, from the east to the west coast of America, it is on average 3,000 miles. You have to times that by 4 and add 1,000, and you're still not at that number. It leaves you to wonder, how did they build such a wall, and why? Did you even know that China was that big? They started to build the Great Wall of China in 220 BC, before Jesus had even walked the earth. No sane ruler or country would dedicate that many resources and power to build something with no purpose, especially if they knew it would take over 1,000 years to build the finished wall. Who were they defending against that they needed all 13,000 miles to even fathom winning? What or who were they so scared of? The theory is that the wall was built by the Tartarian Empire. If you look at old maps and photos, you would see that the steep side of the Great Wall and the lookout post is actually facing China. Normally, those sides be used to prevent any invaders from climbing up or to pick off enemies with crossbows. The fact that it faces China implies it was built by someone else, the Tartarians, to keep whatever was in China in, rather than defend what was in China. Follow to learn more.
Why would the high side of the wall be facing China if it's the Great Wall of China? Something isn't adding up.
They certainly don't make them like they used to. The old world even has us beat on their pop-up books. If you thought those gold-edged books were works of art from my previous video, just get a look at these beautiful pop-up books. From a period lost to us, where beauty and craftsmanship was put into everything, big and small. From the beautiful, lifelike marble statues, to the architecture on nearly every street corner, to the pop-up books they gave their children. They were all made to uplift and inspire. Nothing bland, ordinary, or mundane. Nothing like the cookie-cutter boxed world we live in today. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
It was almost like they were living in an entirely different world seeing this type of stuff. That was actually amazing.
He found a certain bug that didn't fly, it levitated. He'd put this bug into a little vial or something, and he saw this vial jumping up off the lab table, jumping up and down. And of course, this is patently impossible based on any type of normal physics. So he got into this, and he found out that the bug wings themselves were creating an anti-gravity phenomena under certain conditions. I found a bug, actually a beetle. And if you analyze this bug structure, you see a hexagonal pyramid structure array throughout the entire bottom wing of this bug. Turns out that beetles have two wings. The top wing is called a wing cover, and what the beetle does is it lifts this wing cover up, and then it flips out its lower wings, or inner wings. Now the bug cover protects the inner wings, but when it gets excited or something, it flips these other wings out, and it flaps these other wings, and the inner wings flap a little, and this beetle goes gyrating around. They can't fly very good, but they sure levitate great, I guess. Anyway, he took a whole bunch of these bug wings, and he glued them to like a Venetia blind structure, and he put it into a little platform he built. So these bug wings were all covered in here. And he used I theorize he used the wing covers as well as the inner wing itself. There's also a kind of a handlebar on this thing with some controls. You can see the thing a little better here in detail. The controls, I think, had to be manipulated continuously and probably vibrated to create the same action that the bug was doing. There was also down at the base some kind of a lever, which I suspect controlled the amount of lift he was getting out of this thing. Grebennikov claimed that he could fly this thing, or levitate it, and it would go around at almost 1,000 miles an hour. He said that there was an energy field that built up around this thing due to this gravity field building up in the platform. And by this thing building up, it built out a force field that basically surrounded him and protected him from the local environment. So even though he was flying at 1,000 miles an hour, you could go, you could be wearing your Sunday best suit and not get it flutter a bit at 1,000 miles an hour. This is the platform with him on it about 3 to 6 feet above the ground, because here's the shadow here down below him. Now you could say this is all faked, but if you get into the other things he did with shape, they almost mirror the stuff that I discovered, and it proves, I guess, that there's either two crazy people in the world, or there's two people that have found the same discoveries. So I think that this is a valid phenomena, and I'll show you why. A micrograph that I took of a beetle inner wing. If you look closely at this thing, you can see rows of bumps all along the bottom of this wing. Now, I don't know of any aerodynamic surface that has bumps all over the bottom to help it fly better. If you blow this up to 430x, you can start to see some of this microstructure of the cells that form where these bumps are. The next slide, at 970x, you start to see what these bumps that stick up are. They're hairs, look like hairs or fibers that grow out of the center of these hexagonal cells. And of course, this harkens back to my basic shape power discovery, is that each one of these, because of their shape going down to a point, is creating a magnetic field. And remember, a magnetic field is a rotating piece of vortex in the ether.
And if you really want to get deep on the subject, think about all the Egyptian beetles, all the Egyptian scarabs that you've seen on the hieroglyphs. Was that some type of tribute to the levitation that they possibly used for those giant blocks to build the pyramids?
But linen is very healing. They used to use it in the hospitals so people would heal quicker. Imagine that. There's no profits in that. And then also too, they used to wrap babies in there because of all the beautiful light frequencies that linen would give off, and it would help babies sleep better. Think about it. The baby is wrapped in a plastic polyester DuPont sheet. Well, then the baby's going to get a little, they're going to kick their little legs, they're going to start getting hot, they're going to start getting bothered. What that's going to cause is them to become irritable, and they're not going to be able to sleep. So they actually used to wrap babies in linen so that they would sleep better because the linen didn't gather any static. But when you get into materials, we are meant to wear certain materials. Linen is very healing, it emits a ton of light, and it's very healing for the body. Highest light frequencies. You get into all these different clothing materials, and they all, when you go back to the natural ones, they all emit tons of light. Light is very healing, just like the sun. Plastic, on the other hand, DuPont polymers, polyurethane, acrylic, nylon, Tencel, I don't know, whatever else words they come up with, those don't emit any light. And what are we? Light beings. So if you don't emit any light or allow the light to transfer throughout the material that you're wearing, you start to develop health issues. Simple. But linen is very healing. They used to use it in the hospitals.
It makes sense. You'll eat organic, so you should wear organic.
A man standing on the lap of a statue of Ramses II at Abu Simbel, Egypt, 1911. A man standing on the lap of a statue of Ramses II at Abu Simbel.
I wonder if it's still available for the public to see or not.
This is a 1,000-year-old temple called the Doddagadavali Temple. Just outside the main chamber, you can see two statues. They're very strange, giant figures, more than 7 feet tall. When I examined this statue carefully, I found something very interesting. There is a hole drilled on the right side of the abdomen, just below the ribs. It was large enough for me to put a finger into this. It's very interesting to me that today doctors put holes exactly in this place on human bodies because that's precisely where your liver is.
These things are definitely looking demonic, like some Alien vs. Predator vibes. And I'm not even going to try and pronounce this temple name.
This is simply unbelievable. A fan that defies all modern logic is leaving many people astonished. The reason? It doesn't use electricity. It seems impossible, but it's real. This mystery raises an intriguing question. Could this be yet another piece of evidence that the legendary Tartaria truly existed and mastered advanced technologies we are only beginning to understand? The functionality of this fan is astounding. Not only does it operate without electricity, but it also seems to be more efficient than the fans we use today. This makes us wonder, how is it possible for such a remarkable technology to remain hidden from us? And if Tartaria truly existed, why was its knowledge erased from history? One of the most impactful theories suggests that Tartaria had mastery over the concept of free energy, an unlimited and free source of power. But if this is true, it means that the powers that be may have suppressed this revolutionary technology to ensure that profits continued to flow into the hands of major corporations. After all, free energy would be a devastating blow to the energy industry that controls the modern world. This is simply unbelievable. A fan that defies...
They definitely don't make them like this anymore. I love the fact that it doesn't require any type of electricity, though. Wow, how cool is that? It even has a lid for it. What would you keep inside there?
But this may be my best cluster of the day. Actually, oh, it is loose. Look, there it is. Oh, look at that. Wow. That is epic. I think I kind of like it better with the orange and the red. Looks like flames. Look in that pocket there. Golly. But this may be my best cluster of the day.
If this was in your rock collection, what would you name the stone? Colors definitely represent a flaming texture.
This has mica on it. And this is really interesting because mica creates a conductive property. So all the old power plants of the olden times, they actually used to coat them or laminate them in mica. So they would take mica and copper, put it all over the power plants, and it would help amplify the energy. But if you notice with this one, it has gold. It looks exactly like gold, almost like the fool's gold, that they try to distract you with. Mica on a rock will actually start to grow. It's the skin of the rock. If you leave this outside sitting in the sun, you'll start to notice that the mica will begin to grow. The skin of the rock will begin to grow. When you're out in nature and you see these rocks, there'll be one rock here, and let's say there's another rock on top, it will begin to grow on top and create a layer. You'll see this with quartz too. Like this little part of quartz right here, that's actually growing out of the rock. All rocks are alive and they're growing. One day I went out hiking and I hiked this one spot over in Arizona. I think it was Tom's Thumb. I saw quartz on top, and then I went back to the same spot again and I saw that the quartz was even bigger. And it started dawning on me, oh my gosh, the rocks are growing. This has mica on it.
That was a leaked video of a pyramid UFO over in China recorded in 2011.
Located on the bank of the Brahmani River in the Dhenkanal district of Orissa in India lies an ancient guardian. Carved during the early 9th century in Saranga village, this large open-air horizontal rock relief is an incredible 15.4 meters long and 7 meters wide. Etched from the sandstone bedrock, this majestic shrine is known as Anantashayi Vishnu and is now considered a protected monument. The rock-carved sculpture wears a tall conical crown and represents the revered god Vishnu, one of the principal deities in Hinduism.
It said it was protected, but I didn't see any gate. It looked like anybody could just walk on top of it and take a picture.
The cave that is actually the buried snakes from the age of the mud fossils. Walking around the cave from the inside to the outside, you see the remains of these buried snakes.
Why are they hiding this?
The famous Naka Cave in Thailand. The cave that is actually the buried snakes from the age of the mud fossils. Walking around the cave from the inside to the outside, you see the remains of these buried snakes. This realm was much larger then, and what we are told to dismiss as just rocks are anything but. They were the larger inhabitants of this realm. We are living in a world of lies and illusions perpetrated by the parasites that run everything today. They want you completely oblivious and unaware of this world's true history, the true beautiful history of this realm.
There was a snake actually that massive. The question is, what did it eat? If you enjoy this type of content, please consider leaving a like and subscribe, because we do this every single day and I'd love to see you tomorrow. That was the most disturbing videos on the internet today.